And it's not just these big trees that have been falling down around this park. We also saw some in front of people's homes. We also saw some even just in the middle of the woods when we were driving on our way here. And I just want to pick one up as well because I want to show you some of the big ones that have been just knocked off. Now these big branches are all over, not only just in the grass. I'm sure that they were pushed off the roads because, as we heard earlier, there were snow plows that had to be pushing some of those stuff off. So we're going to continue to keep a look around Bemidji, and we'll keep you guys updated there as well. As you can see, they have a lot of cleanup to do, and of course they have to let it kind of all die down first. Not very much room to spread this fire out this morning, so they're going to have to let this kind of taper off on its own and then do all of their cleanup work afterwards. And he told me it was scary because he and another employee were closing down Taco John's, and it's two men who came through this back door and demanded money. They were shouting. They had a gun in his hand. The victim said at first glance he thought that gun was only a cap gun. He didn't know it was real. They then shot twice, once missing him, and the second time it did hit him in the leg. I'm standing here with Lieutenant Chris Helmick, who's been on scene all night long. And like you said, this started around 12:30 this morning. So walk us through. I know you said you guys took a lot of precautions going into this situation today. Well, if you've been keeping an eye online on maybe Delta's Twitter page or maybe even on some of the news sites, you know right now that they do have all of their flights grounded and they aren't signing them off until further notice. And when I actually stopped and talked with some of the people who were supposed to be flying out of here, out of Fargo this morning, they said when they went to check in, they weren't told very many things other than that their flight was going to be delayed until further notice. A lot of big trees are down. I just actually got off the phone with the Stutsman County Emergency Manager, Jerry Burquist, and he was telling me that this is probably the most that they've actually seen damage in quite a few years. He said, I've been talking with some neighbors this morning who are stunned at what's been happening here inside of this mobile park. Now we're at Brookwood Mobile Park Homes, and as you can see behind me, I'm standing in front of 444. We're on C Street, and this is just north of the West Fargo Police Department, and police were on scene here last night for hours, and now all that's left is some evidence tape on two different sides of this mobile home that we can see. A check scam has been floating around the Bemidji area, and police say they believe the people responsible are printing checks using false banking account information. Well, new this morning, 2 refugees have been arrested on terrorism-related charges in Sacramento, California, and Houston, Texas.
You ever had like a really good zucchini bread?
Yes.
Oh.
Jaren's dad makes the best banana bread ever. And I know that's like big words to say. I said it. Best banana bread ever.
All right, Mr. Connor, you have a guest spot here on the show to show us how to make this.
I seriously, like, it's a problem though, because whenever he makes it and I get to take home a loaf,
it's gone.
Jaren gets like 2 slices. I have a really bad problem because I just eat the whole thing. I'm sorry. I don't.
You do the whole like big butter spread.
Oh, you gotta microwave it a little bit and then put the butter on so it melts in there. Oh, so delicious. We are learning so much about Robert Hahn today. What other things don't you like to eat?
I don't like yogurt.
You don't like yogurt?
I don't like gummy bears. Phone's ringing now.
Gummy bears. What else? I'm
sure there's more, but I can't
I'm more
think of
common
any.
things like I don't like onions and peppers.
Love onions, love peppers.
I don't like tomatoes.
Oh, tomatoes are wonderful.
So we're gonna go out to eat together after today, and I'm gonna take all your whipped cream off of your stuff. You can have all my onions and peppers. I don't know what we're ordering, but it sounds delicious to me anyway.
I was extremely nervous. I thought I was gonna throw up, but thankfully I did not. Once Blake turned, I just couldn't wait for Joe to find out because he had no way of knowing at that time, and I was just dying for him to know that the chairs turned.
Joe's wife Leanne was not his only supporter at his audition.
You know, my mom and dad, they're just so proud of everything that's going on, and they've always been such a huge supporter of what I do.
Since his episode has aired, the couple says it's been a wild journey.
I did have a lady walk up to me and she said, I saw you on TV last night. I was like, yeah. People have recognized him before, like from his shows and stuff, but that's never happened to me, and it's fun, but it's really different.
And during this competition, Joe is keeping in mind his roots and inspiration to music.
Grandpa was an amazing musician and an amazing guy. You know, Grandpa was really one of a kind. When you met Grandpa Bob, you never forgot Grandpa Bob. One of the values that he instilled in me was to keep what you do real and be a good person.
Joe will continue on the show with those words in mind, but says even the community's support has already meant the world to him.
Just getting this kind of exposure and using that as a springboard for my career that was always really the goal. Thinking about the big picture, I try to go little goal by little goal, so now the objective is to put on a stellar performance in the battle rounds and hopefully take it on to the next one, and if not, hey, it's been a blast.
That's right, guys. We've actually seen quite a few neighbors starting to come out and about, driving down these roads to see and take a look at what's been going on. But what we've been seeing is a lot of trees have been taken down around Gary. And they did say that neighbors just north of Gary had saw some tornadoes touch down. I know that people had sent us some pictures, so keep sending us some pictures into valleynewslive.com. But as I've been talking with people living in this area, they said that they definitely all went down into their basements. They heard the storm coming in, and even some people reported that they had some water down in their basements because they got a very heavy rain that came through along with these winds. And when I was talking with the fire chief of Gary, he was telling me that it seemed almost as he was doing a storm watch and letting people back in Ada know, are we going to have to put the sirens off? He said it seemed like you could just see that it was coming through the area. And then if we take just a little turn and look just directly across this street, he said it came through in a path and went through this area, and it just took down a row of trees. Now, he said it wasn't a tornado, but he said definitely some straight winds that came through there. It also farther in town took off a roof and some of the shingles from there too. So a lot of neighbors out and about taking a look around. And it was just back in 1978 that there was a big tornado that came through Gary right here on this road, actually. And I've talked with some people who remember that. They were 7, 9 years old at the time, and even their parents stopped by and said that they still think about it. So they get very nervous when these storms come through. So far, guys, very thankful that we haven't had any reports of injuries. But again, if anyone has some updates, whether it's rain totals, damage, any of that, make sure you're sending it into valleynewslive.com.